Okay.
Now we're ready to go.
We're ready to go.
Wow, we're rolling.
We're rolling.
Wow.
And we are live.
Welcome to Braden's basement.
Yeah. We got to figure out how we want to start because, like, Joe Rogan on his podcast, they just, like, start randomly. And then, like, after a minute or two, they'll go, are we rolling? And we're like, yeah, we've been rolling. I'm like, all right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you just start the podcast. I feel like that's what people probably want anyways.
Yeah.
Just jump right in the conversation.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to be just patronized, being like, what's up, listeners?
Hey, guys, welcome back. Today's another episode of Braden's Basement featuring Yoshi.
Yeah. I don't know. That always makes people uncomfortable. Like and subscribe. Click it twice.
Yeah.
And click it twice and it unlikes it.
Yeah. Make sure to smash that like button.
Click it twice so that it grows blue and then it goes back to gray.
Yeah. Back to transparent. Well, we should give an intro of like, so here we are. This is us. I'm Braden.
That's true. I'm Nolan.
Yeah. And it matches where we're sitting.
I feel like it's hard to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
I guess I could. Should I introduce you? I mean,
Sure,
I don't know you
yeah.
that well.
Sure.
This is Braden.
Go ahead.
And he lives at. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
His phone number is. No, we've been friends for a while.
Yeah.
Braden's a great guy. Single.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Braden's one of those guys that will get you excited about. Like, can get anybody excited about something that he's super passionate about. So, one of the key reasons that we could do this podcast, hopefully, and get people excited about listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we got the idea from we emceed a wedding together.
Yes.
You know, we're just a bunch of goofy fellas.
Well, let me give you an intro before we
sure.
get into that. Yes, this is Nolan. Nolan is not single. Nolan is married. Bam. So, that's pretty cool.
Save the DMs, everybody.
Yeah. Nolan currently, well, I shouldn't say currently, but you own a cafe and operate.
Little coffee shop. Coffee shop, yeah.
Yep. And, I mean, I think you'd be better at explaining it than I would be, but it's a pretty cool place. They have a lot of ethnic drinks. Well, if you want to give a blurb.
Yeah, that's true. It's like a multi-use like community center building, and so they have like different programs and stuff for like immigrants, refugees, and we don't do too much with that, but to kind of create an environment where someone can experience a new culture or taste a little bit from home, we try to offer different foods and drinks that represent that well as best as we can, and we hope to employ some immigrants, some low-level English speakers, and hopefully get some different cultural chefs rotating through and give people an authentic experience.
Very cool. Yep. It's a pretty cool place. I've been a fair amount of times, and it's in, I guess I don't know how much revealing we want to be of like where we actually are.
Right away.
Yeah.
This will probably never make it anywhere.
Right.
But we got some statistics to back that up. But
right.
Yeah. I guess so. I mean, like enough of it's public.
Yeah.
Yeah. 450 North Prince Street, Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Boom. There it is.
If you want to come out and buy something.
Yeah.
Or get an autograph.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Nolan is a great guy. Known him for a long time. Something great about Nolan is I feel like he has a wealth of knowledge of many things, kind of a jack of all trades type of dude, and I feel like is very wise. He's not going to rush into things, and is like very good at looking at all possibilities of every option and kind of making an informed decision, and I admire that about him. So, yeah.
Enough of the sappy stuff.
That's true. We got that out of the way.
Yeah. I mean, Braden, I guess what you do for work, kind of.
Oh yeah.
You've made your, not your living because you don't get paid that much.
No.
But you've kind of made a home at a summer camp.
Yeah.
Summer camp counseling gig.
Yeah.
So, how much do we want to say about that?
Well, I guess we don't have to, I don't know. I could say, I've kind of structured my life around that for the past since high school and even kind of around high school. So while that's not necessarily what I like have done on a day-to-day basis, everything that I've done so far has been so that I can do that during the summers and whatnot. So yeah, so I am looking to get into more of a career after this summer. As you can see, it's almost the end of May, so we'll be starting at camp in just a couple, like first week of June. So yeah, as I will be looking for new things to do after the summer, but looking into getting into a different career, but we'll see how that goes. Not saying anything about it because I don't know anything about it yet. So yeah, at a transitional point.
And we'll see like how this podcast even goes,
Yeah.
especially with the busy schedules coming
Right.
up. So,
Right.
you know, got like at least 20 weddings to attend in July.
Yeah.
So we'll see how.
Once this podcast blows up, I'll just be doing that. So
Full time.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Yeah. So cool. Well, we could talk a little bit about how we got started
yeah,
or how we had the idea. I think all of us have thought. I think every single person has thought about podcasting at some point in their life.
yeah, probably multiple times.
Yeah. I think so some history of us. Shortly after we met, we went on not after we met, but after we became friends, we went on a 2-week trip out west. Went to see out to Wyoming, down to Utah, like I think we touched Arizona, and then kind of back that way and saw a bunch of national parks. We can talk about that more some other time, but
True.
I think on that trip we mentioned a couple times about podcasting.
Yeah. I feel like the phrase we use all the time is like we would go deep into a topic, like
Yeah.
be like giving some very strong opinions and be like, well, I don't know anything about anything.
Right.
But like I think that this is exactly how this goes.
Yes.
And we had some really good conversations based on that,
Yeah.
but none of it based on fact.
Right.
Maybe some like prior knowledge and things, but we'll see.
So I think that could be a good caveat now too, is that we're not really experts on anything.
Yeah.
But we don't speak with authority, but we speak with I don't know. We speak.
Yeah. I mean,
we're going to just speak as if we know things, but we don't, so.
There's different reasons to go to podcasts.
Right.
I mean, a lot of different podcasts. There's ones that are more like that are just for humor.
Sure.
There are ones that are like for education and for
informational,
like, current events, and like you want to get news from like a different source.
Yeah.
I think that's a very popular reason that podcasts have kind of blown up.
and a great reason.
And yeah, I feel like that's a great to get different insights from different perspectives. But yeah, this is not one of those super insightful educational podcasts, at least not right now. So,
yeah, definitely. And then more recently, we were emceeing a wedding, and we had a mic, just like a wireless microphone that we were using to kind of walk around and like, give announcements and whatnot. And the videographer for the wedding put a recording device on the microphone that she just left going for the whole evening. And so we're like, okay, this is recording everything that we say while we're near each other. And so we were like, oh, this is the podcast, welcome to it, whatever. And yeah, and then we were like, we actually kind of totally have the means to do that. So we were like,
yeah, we got a couple pieces of equipment.
Yeah. So actually, all the equipment that we're recording on right now is from the camp that I work at.
Exactly.
But that I kind of snuck it from them today. But
proof of concept. See if we
Definitely.
can even chat about things that aren't personal life related for like an hour.
Right. And the camera will probably cut out, like, my guess is 40 minutes into this or whatnot.
Yeah, perfect.
I don't know. It's like 128 gigabyte SD card. So
yeah.
we'll
The best
see.
part of this podcast
that
is
light
that
just flickered. I'm guessing that's going to happen again.
yeah. The best part of this podcast is that just you never know when it's going to end.
Right.
Keep you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll probably see like the timestamp, but like maybe we'll just put it to a black screen. You don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. And we'll put it to a black screen, not say anything for like 5 minutes, and then just start talking again. And then it'll be a black screen for like 20 minutes, and only like little minute chunks in there will have dialogue.
True. I know, like, eventually
We won't do that.
to promote this, we're going to have to start doing YouTube shorts and, like,
Right.
reels and stuff,
Yeah.
of, like, the heavy-hitting clips. That's
Oh,
how
yeah.
we're going to get people here, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and then also we're just in my parents' basement because I still live with my parents. This has been a hangout spot for our friend group for a long time, and here we are.
Watched many movies down here.
Yeah, that's... Actually, they can't see the screen, but...
Yeah.
whatever.
You got to trust us on that one.
Yeah.
Unless you know.
Yeah.
Probably if you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah, you probably do
know.
We're saying this as if people don't know who we are already.
If this is like a year down the road and like you just listened to episode 30 and you're coming back to this one because you liked it so much, then shout out to you.
Yeah.
You definitely don't know where the screen is.
Definitely.
So.
Yeah, that's true.
But all right.
Yep.
But we probably won't get to that point. I was actually curious looking up some statistics when we were like planning this, being like, should we start a podcast? And on this definitely, semi-trustworthy website about podcasting, it was saying that like there's so many podcasts. There's like 4.5 million podcasts, and like that's giving that it has at least 3 episodes, and that each episode's at least 3 minutes long. So like this is not like a 45-second accidental soundbite.
Right.
But it's not also like not that big of a barrier, like 3 minutes. But like right now, podcasting's popping off so much. Like there's about 30,000 new shows every day, just people creating things, and which is wild.
That's mind-boggling to me. 30,000 is such a big number.
I know. Yeah, and I feel like most of these were like American statistics too.
Yeah.
So I don't even know about globally if that's what it is. I mean, like I said, I didn't really fact check this too much.
Yeah.
But we are in America, so we're keeping our
This
statistics. American focus. So sorry, Britain, if we made it a year and you're from Britain, sorry about that. And
or anywhere else.
True.
That's like the one other place, Britain.
But we have to apologize to Britain, though.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Why is that?
I mean, they lost the 13 colony lead.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I mean?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Anyways, we'll talk about more of that on the 4th of July podcast.
Yeah. Sorry specifically to Britain, but like everybody else, yeah.
Yeah. True. But yeah, 90% of podcasts don't get past the 3rd episode.
So if you're listening to this and you've already listened to episode 4,
we're in the top 10%.
Yeah, there we go.
And then 90% of those podcasts don't get past episode 20.
Bang.
So if you're listening to this and we're in episode 21 or more, then we're in the top 1%.
Boom.
At least in consistency. Probably not in listen rate because
I can almost guarantee that.
because we've only made it to the U.S. and to Britain, but
yeah,
that's okay. Anyways.
Yeah. Those are cool statistics. I think I am an avid podcast listener. The job that I was working at for the past 3 years in between the summers at camp, I was able to have a earbud in 8 hours a day, like 5 days a week for pretty much 3 years, and I was in like the top 5% of comedy podcast listeners last year on Spotify, and pretty cool, no big deal.
Yeah.
But I think I listened to 10,000 hours and was in my 2024 Wrapped, which is I think kind of insane.
That's wild.
Yeah, so that's kind of crazy.
For me, like right now at the cafe, like because you got to help customers and stuff like that, and even when I'm baking or something, like I'm always ready to be interrupted. So like I can't really listen to like audiobooks, podcasts. So like right now I'm not listening to like anything. Some music from time to time.
Yeah.
But I used to have a job.
Yeah.
And now I'm self-employed, which means unemployed. No. But like at my old job, you could just have earbuds in. You can kind of zone out. At one point, like during COVID, we were trying to make sure we'd have enough like food for like whatever. And it was like a team of like 6 or 7 of us were on a job to make 20,000 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which was crazy.
20,000.
Yeah, yeah, dude. It was like they were like, we want to have enough food for everyone. Like it was a pretty big place. Like everyone would have like 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
Like for 2 weeks in case like all of the staff. Actually, it might have been 2,000. I'm thinking about it. 20,000 is crazy.
I was gonna say
because there was only like 200 people, so like that
Yeah.
the math wouldn't work there.
20,000 is.
But they're like, in case everyone gets COVID, like
Yeah.
we're gonna need, and then, but that the quality of life that would suck.
Yeah.
Imagine, like 3 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches each day. That's all you.
That's
get.
all you get.
That's all you get.
With like rations.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
That's insane. And I
Yeah.
mean, there's people who live on less food than that, or like
I know.
I shouldn't say that, but
Yeah, yeah.
which is
For
insane.
sure. Yeah.
But yeah,
We have a lot to be grateful for.
Absolutely.
But in terms of like
quality of life,
the diversity
Yeah.
of food there, that would be tough.
definitely.
I think I'd get so sick of it. Like, imagine swallowing down like your 21st, PB&J of the week.
I don't think I'd like to imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like, you can't even switch it up. It's not like, oh, I've eaten 21 PB&Js, but I've also had some like soup and some whatever else.
Right.
That'd be rough.
Yeah.
What do you think you could eat, like just one thing for a week?
Man.
Now that I think about that, PB&J is not the worst thing if you had to choose one
Right.
thing.
Right.
It's got sweet, salty.
Yeah. Are we talking like what's something I wouldn't get tired of and like I would enjoy, or like what I would still be in a good working order afterwards? Like,
I think either way, whichever way you want to take
sure.
it.
I would say probably, and we can just cut out the time that it takes for me to think. So.
Yeah, no cut. Save on the editing.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm gonna throw out some ideas. I feel like a
Yeah.
salad could be a decent option.
Yes, I was thinking salad, and I've only recently become a salad man.
Yeah, but that's assuming that you have like decent amount of toppings that you can choose from.
Right.
Um,
I mean, my answer in middle school would have been pizza, because wealth of different toppings, I enjoy it, but that's for me now way too much cheese.
that's still a lot of variety too. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I mean, it's not a bad answer.
Yeah.
That's just like what I mean. I thought about that. I've thought about this before.
Yeah.
I think that's been my answer before.
In elementary school, I like actually like unironically got like an Uncrustable every day for lunch because I was just vibing with it that one year.
Yeah.
But I was like, and it was like I'm paying full school lunch prices. Like the people around me are getting like, like the little salad and like the like Uncrustable pizza and stuff like that. And I was just going to town on the Uncrustable.
Yeah.
It's like that's like a 33-cent
that's
like,
insane
meal.
For a large period of my life, definitely all the way throughout middle school, I think mostly into high school, I think like up to sophomore year, I ate a Pop-Tart every single day before school. And I never got tired of that. I still would eat a Pop-Tart. For
what flavor?
What?
What flavor?
It was always strawberry.
I don't like the fruity ones.
Okay.
I like the I pretty much just like the cinnamon ones, whatever those are called.
There was a period in there where it was peanut butter toast and chocolate milk. 2 pieces of peanut butter toast and chocolate milk, which is much more healthy than the Pop-Tart. But
yeah, probably.
Not by much.
Peanut butter's not that healthy, if we're being honest.
Yeah,
like,
but it's got protein.
It does.
And Pop-Tarts don't have any really good qualities.
That's true.
Except for taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please sponsor us, Pop-Tarts.
Yeah. I mean, we love you, Pop-Tarts.
Yeah. Dude, one of the other stats I was reading about podcasts was they were like, podcast advertisements are actually pretty effective.
Yeah.
They were like 1/3 of things, or 1/3 of listeners have purchased something because of a podcast.
Yeah.
Like,
and that brings us into our first ag segment.
Yeah. We don't have any sponsors yet, but when
Yeah.
we do, we're gonna edit this in.
Yeah, that would be cool, actually.
We're milking it all.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like if we ever did get ad reads, you just got to sprinkle it in.
Yep.
Because, like, if I'm listening to a podcast, I got free Spotify, too, because I'm a little bit poor.
Yeah.
And
I'm on that family plan.
Yeah. So, like, you can hear, like, the podcaster, whoever it is, because they're just having their normal conversation.
Yeah.
And then they're, like, they're talking in, like, this tone, and then they're suddenly, and now from blah, blah, blah. And I'm, like, instantly, boop, 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 fast forward.
Yep.
I don't listen to them.
Right.
Which it's, like, it's almost nice, because then I know I'm, like, even on the free plan, I like can listen to a podcast and get no ads.
Right.
But
as an experienced podcast listener,
yeah,
yeah, I would agree pretty much.
it made it sound like it.
I was gonna come in with some different opinion. Yeah. Nope. I agree. No, I don't know. Yeah, I think it sprinkled out is fine. It's a little annoying sometimes, like if I would be in the middle of something at work. Oh, what is that, by the way?
Gosh. It's a kombucha.
Oh, cool.
It's like a probiotic. You know, one of those like fermented drinks or something.
Yeah.
It was on discount at Costco, so I got some.
Fire.
I'm not going to tell you what brand it is until they sponsor us.
It would be a little annoying sometimes because you're like in the middle of like doing something that I don't have a chance to skip through stuff, and then like my hands are tied, and then I have to listen to the full like 2.5 minute ad, and I'm like,
but it makes me so upset.
Yeah, I get frustrated.
Yeah, those ad reads are like not well written. I don't know.
Yeah, and then like there's like I've listened to a lot of comedy ones, so a lot of those ones they'll like make it funny, which is like fine sometimes. Right. But if it's like my third time listening to the same funny ad, it's like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, because the other thing is they're like pre-recorded, so they're like feels like sometimes they're like, all right, you get 10 ad reads, but I'm gonna record it once and then just paste it in.
Yeah,
and then for the listener, you've heard that same thing so many times.
Right.
Where it's like ideally, I think. For me, it'd be like something that I want to use, or like something that we could like use here, or being like, you know, like MeUndies, you know, we're wearing them right now.
Yeah.
We're not, but we could be. MeUndies.
MeUndies.
Yeah. So
wink.
I feel like that's the dream with podcasting, but honestly, like just having like a good time, is probably worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that was another thing I was gonna talk about or ask is. Why would somebody listen to this podcast?
To this podcast?
You know, because like we were talking about what we want to talk about, obviously, and like sports has been something that comes up because we both enjoy sports. But there's plenty of sports podcasts out there.
It's true, and I know way less than a lot of people.
Exactly.
Yeah. I know more than Skip Bayless, but that's like about it.
And that's
he's
not hard to do.
He's only saying things to be controversial.
Like
he doesn't have good takes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Casual stray there for Skip Bayless.
Yeah, I mean,
deserved though.
Nobody is gonna be like opposed to that.
No, yeah, I agree.
Especially not Shannon Sharp.
Yes,
he's in his own hot water right now. So.
Right. And like, there's plenty more funny people out there than us.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I think we'll provide a good mix, and like, I mean, that's like a similar question of like, why watch YouTube? Like, I've grown up watching a lot of YouTube people, and like obviously it's a part of our culture now. It's a big part of our culture. And like you could say like there's like, oh, maybe I'm interested in a game, this person's playing this game, watch that. I think a lot of times people stay though for the community that they feel like when being a part of like watching that. I think people search for community, and like that's one of the ways that they find it. For better or for worse.
Right.
And now we can go into a whole nother line of thought here of like that can be challenging when you have controversial people like, and people get really attached to them. But I think like I enjoy your company. I think together we create good company, and you know, down the line we'll probably bring some of our friends on and you know, be part of our little community here.
Yeah, we had a Christmas party, and we were both voted at the top of Life of the Party. So
yeah, that's true. Actually, I forgot about that.
So it's like, if our friends think that, and our friends are like super cool, then like obviously some rando in the street on the internet's gonna think that.
Yeah, definitely. So that's why you listen to our podcast, because we're cool,
and we're gonna create healthy, happy community. Yeah, that's fair though. We do it and create engagement. So I mean. Yeah. If this ever goes on any platform, give us your thoughts. We're gonna try a couple things.
I mean, I'm gonna upload it to YouTube so we can send it to our friends and stuff.
A couple ideas we have is, one, we want to do like a bracket of like different things. So it's like a couple ideas we had was like, you know, serial characters, or just like even just like movies, kind of like a tier list, but like we can discuss them like different matchups head to head each week. and then potentially get listeners to like vote on which one, whether, you know, it might start as something like as simple as posting it on our Instagram stories,
Right.
but like maybe one day
Mm-hmm.
have like a website or like
Yeah.
or even just on the YouTube
On the YouTube channel, yep.
video itself. But
Yeah.
so that could be something we add in the future.
Yeah, and I don't really know how Spotify works currently, because for a long time they just had specific podcasts that were able to have video with it. But like, I don't know if you could do like polls, and I know they have comments now, which is interesting on Spotify podcasts.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we have to like have a certain amount of listeners to be able to have comments and video and whatnot, but yeah. Spotify and YouTube would probably be the two places that would be easiest. But
True.
anywho, yeah. And obviously, yeah, we want engagement. We want people to comment. Like we said, we're trying to make a little community. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we have a couple different things.
we do.
One of the thing is, I mean, obviously we're not going to be super up on current events. We're not going to like study it.
Yeah.
But I found 2 articles that I thought were pretty interesting.
Let's bust them out.
Yeah. The first being that the commencement speaker for the graduation of...
Wait, do you want to do that one last? Since then we can go into my topic.
I mean, we don't even know when this ends. We can go right into that topic. You know what I
True,
mean?
that's true.
That's what I was like, maybe we just knock it out right. I feel like that's the more interesting one.
All right.
The commencement speaker for the graduation ceremony of Maryland University was announced, and it is Kermit the Frog.
Great pick.
So, yeah.
I honestly couldn't think of anybody
Yeah.
who I'd rather listen to for however long commencement speeches are.
I know. I was thinking about this, and I was like,
Neither of us went. Well, did you go to college?
no.
Yeah.
Neither
I
of us
didn't go
went
to college at all.
So,
So we definitely didn't graduate from college.
Yeah, no.
Now, I have been to one of my good friends' graduations and sat through that commencement speech, and it was like pretty terrible. Not terrible. It was like fine, but the lady was like I felt like she didn't do speeches all that often, and she had a PowerPoint behind her that just had a whole bunch of stock photos, and the whole point of her thing was be kind. It's like, well, I was probably going to do that anyways, or at least try.
I know, but yeah.
I mean, I
true.
get it.
Yeah.
Like, be kind, but
I feel like the speakers at my high school graduation, you know, that's kind of what I remember. And they did like, you could audition for them. So it was like high school students.
Right.
And I was like, they're at the same spot I am in life. Like,
Yeah.
what are they telling me that I don't know.
Yeah. It's really tough not to feel like pretentious, or for it to not come off as a little pretentious.
Right. Because
if
you
you're
want
going
somebody
up there
that's
with,
like pretty renowned. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or at least has like something that
Yeah.
like is going for them that can give you encouragement.
Yeah, or like they had this experience that, like Jim Carrey I've listened to that commencement speech.
Yeah.
That's a famous one on YouTube, I think.
Right.
And that was cool because he's Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And he has obviously knowledge and backing of like.
You know what we should do next episode?
What's that?
Should like watch like the highlights of the Kermit speech.
Yeah.
And then like give our take.
Yeah.
But
we could do a commencement speech bracket.
Yeah.
A best commencement.
We just
speeches.
watch little clips of them.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty good.
there's also one that's like make your bed every day.
Right.
It's a classic one.
The Harrison Butker one.
Maybe.
No.
did he do one?
Yeah, he did
Oh,
one.
wow.
It got controversy. It almost got him kicked off the Chiefs.
Oh wow.
Because he was talking about how like he's like, women, great job in getting like these degrees, but like who knows? You know, like my wife, like she's like back in the kitchen, and he almost got canceled for that.
Rough take.
I know. Well, not the place.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely not the place.
There's audiences that agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think a college graduation, like you want to encourage them that their time and money was well spent.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And is Kermit doing that? I think that's the.
We'll see.
I guess so.
I think that'll be awesome. Do you got any highlights from the?
Yeah. So this article's from NPR, and like it does a pretty good job of kind of describing it. But honestly, what it doesn't really do is I'm not sure if the speech is given by the Muppets creator Jim Henson, because he graduated from Maryland, or I'm like I don't even know if he does the voice of Kermit.
Jim Henson is dead.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, who then is really doing the Kermit the Frog? Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, I apologize to our listeners that believe in Kermit the Frog. You know what I mean? Like, and the Easter Bunny, but like, obviously they're going to be like voiced by somebody. You know what I mean? And like, did he do the voice of Kermit? So it's going to be somebody different giving this speech. Yeah.
Yeah. So he did the voice of Kermit. I know a little bit about the Muppets.
Yeah.
He did the voice of Kermit. Obviously, he was the creator of Kermit. He created a lot of the Muppets and did a lot of the voices for a lot of the different ones. But yeah, obviously Kermit was the big one. And I mean, he died in like the like 80s, 90s, I think. So any Kermit here up until or since then has been other people. So it's just people trying to do good imitations of Jim Henson's Kermit voice. And then as far as like the content, it's like just again trying to get similar to like what we think Kermit would say about this.
Right. Which I guess is fair. But I was just like, that's kind of funny to like name him the commencement speaker. But I'm like, I wonder who's like actually writing this. It's like, is it just the University of Maryland just being like, this is what we want Kermit to say? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it feels like you can't necessarily trust what Kermit's telling you as a graduate. I don't know. I think it's awesome, but I don't know. Like, I'm like torn between whether this would be like either the best commencement speech, like if I was graduating from Maryland, or if I'd be a little bit like, come on, man, like can we get a real person that's like done something real? Because it's like we're not even getting Jim Henson, you know what I mean, who's like the creator. We're not getting somebody who's done something real,
right?
But yeah, I don't know. Anyways, here in the article, it says, in a video announcing the speaker pick, Kermit is described as an environmental advocate, a best-selling author, and an international superstar, and a champion of creativity, kindness, and believing in the impossible. Yeah. So I guess that's like what the speech is going to be about, too.
I would describe him as all those things.
Mm-hmm. It says his speaker bio calls him, quote, a star of stage, screen, and swamp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Whose simple mission is to sing and dance and make people happy.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great.
I feel like, nonetheless, we're going to get tons of great memes from this.
Yeah.
Which is got to be worth it.
Yeah.
You know, all these people graduating. Like I said, half the time, the person giving the speech, you're kind of just like,
Right.
You know what I mean? Unless they're like somebody you genuinely respect.
Yeah, or it's a pretty big school and they can get somebody big.
Right. I mean, Maryland's big.
Right, yeah, yeah.
But I feel like this, like, it's going to be a memorable event. You know what I mean? He's so beloved. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of figures these days can be loved and hated by a lot of groups. Where it's like Kermit is only loved.
Right.
So.
Yeah, he's not very divisive. It's super easy to be divisive in these times.
Yeah.
With all the identity politics and just really everything. And even I think just saying that is divisive. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Also, it ends with the statement also quoted a beloved frog, or from the beloved frog himself. Nothing could make these feet happier than to speak at the University of Maryland. That's really funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like, I don't know. It is interesting because like Kermit was never like, even when Jim Henson created him, Kermit was acting in a way that Jim Henson wanted him to. Like, Jim Henson was I'm sure other people wrote stuff for him and then he performed it. Mm-hmm. But like, Jim Henson created it. He was the owner of everything. So if somebody wrote something like Kermit swearing or giving a bunch of slurs or whatever, he could be like, we're not doing that. Obviously, you know. Yeah. But it's like so it's like, you know, who has the control of Kermit now? Mm. It would be, I mean, Disney owns the rights, and so however like Disney thinks is gonna
what doesn't Disney own right now? So.
Me.
Yeah, fair enough. But if if you'd be willing to sponsor us,
Right,
yeah, I mean,
Disney. I'll sell you my soul.
no,
I won't.
no,
No, I won't. No, I won't.
But we'll sell you the naming rights to our podcast for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
There you go.
Which is another thing that we didn't talk about. We don't necessarily have a name for this yet.
No, we don't. Yeah.
So,
But also, back to Kermit the Frog.
Right.
I actually went to visit the University of Maryland because I was like, I genuinely thought I was going to go to college at once upon a time. And they do love, like, Kermit there. It says in the article, too, they have, like, this, like, bronze, like, statue of, like, Jim Henson sitting with, like, Kermit on this, like, bench, and you can sit next to him. And I took a picture with it, you know what I mean? So it's very fun. They also have, like, this bronze statue of a like a turpin, like the turtle. And it's funny, they say, like, you're supposed to rub its nose for good luck. And if you, like, go there, like, the whole thing's, like, the bronze is, like, kind of, like, you know, it's like fading, it's a little bit dark, it's a little whatever, but right on its nose, it's bright and shiny because it's like everyone's oils from their fingers is just
awesome.
rubbing that.
That's one of my favorite things is those bronze statues that have one part shiny, and it's obviously on the place that people would want to touch.
Yeah. Right. You think of any other bronze statues like that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's like, I've seen like a compilation on Instagram or whatever of like, oh, here's a dude and his nether regions are shiny, or like a dog and like the head would be shiny, or the I don't know. I'll have to find some pictures to put in the.
Fair enough. You had to put it in the edit.
No. No, I don't need to edit that much.
No, for sure. This is the first episode, for goodness sake.
Right.
Yeah. Or like the Dwayne Wade statue. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You see how bad that one was?
Rough. Yeah.
There's so many bad bronze statues out there.
AI is just tiny.
Yeah.
Poor Allen Iverson.
I know.
I think. Well, yeah, you can look it up. Bronze statue.
Shiny ones or bronze statues, yeah.
Yeah.
Messi's is bad. Or no, is it Ronaldo? I don't know.
Ronaldo's, yeah.
Sure, they're
I think
both
it's
bad.
classically pretty rough.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got a new one or not, but
I think it's hard to capture. That's a hard medium to work with, I'm sure.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like I feel like people don't do it that much anymore. Like,
yeah.
As far as like actual artists.
Are they sculpting it, or is it something that's like cast? If you had to guess.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about anything.
Right. Probably casted, I would assume.
Yeah. And there's so much that can go wrong with those molds and things like that. And And what are you going to do, cast it like 10 times? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because there's no way you're chiseling that out bit by bit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I would think they probably sculpted it of some sort of like marble or I did a metalworking class in high school.
Okay.
So they probably sculpted it somehow with like either wood or marble or something, and then made the cast out of that, and then like they put that in some sort of like casting, either sand or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then poured the bronze in that or whatever.
True.
So to answer your question, I don't know.
Yeah. I will say the Turpin and the Muppet, the Kermit are very, very well done.
Yes. I've seen
whatever
a picture
they're made out of.
Yeah.
So.
I've seen a picture of the Kermit one before.
Yeah.
And Henson.
So shout out to Maryland. Whatever they're doing with their statues, they know what's up.
Yeah. Maryland knows what's up. And I mean, yeah, I don't even know how those bad ones end up being bad, you know? Like, I feel like it would take one person to look at it and be like, oh, yeah, we can't. We got to go somewhere else.
Right.
But I think at that point, it's like, it's like, those probably take a long time to do.
And expensive.
Yeah. And you got to pay that artist whether it's bad or not.
Right. And you're saying there's probably not a lot of people that do it. So it's like, low supply.
Yeah. And then, so like by the time, and then they already have the date set of when we're going to, I guess you got to postpone.
And then it's permanent. Yeah. I know. Well, also I heard with like Dwayne Wade's, like he was like he wanted to do like the face where he's like yelling,
right?
Because that's like an iconic moment.
Yeah.
But also
just get rid of the beard.
You gotta true. You gotta do something that's like easy though.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't think I ever want my bust or my statue in front of really anything.
No, absolutely not.
if I were to want mine to look good, I would probably choose like the most basic, like not expressionless, but like an easier face to make.
Now, I do think it's cool for a sports one to be like doing an iconic sports moment of theirs.
Mm.
And I think the yell could be cool, but like you got to get rid of the beard.
Yeah.
And like get rid of the like not everything in that image is like non-negotiable, you know? Like you can do him yelling, but get rid of the beard. I don't know. There's I think other ways that you could have done it.
You think if
Am
we
I
do,
thinking
if
of
we
the
do,
right one?
If we
by
do
the way?
enough rubbing on the beard, you think it'll come off?
It'll
like,
go away.
It'll get shiny,
Yeah.
but then
Right.
eventually it'll.
In a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Anyways.
Yep. So, all this Muppet talk
Mm.
brings me to one of my points. So I have had a theory for a long time now. I have this in my notes app on my phone that Muppets have infiltrated people, and I think I'm a little unclear as to like what that actually means and like
Yeah, I
how
was
this
just about to
actually
ask
works
what
out.
infiltrated
Yeah.
means, because I'm like, yeah.
So the way I have it written down here in my notes is Muppets have infiltrated the human world. They have mingled with society, and now there are people who have some amount of Muppet in them. I don't think this necessarily is like sexually at any way, but I think the essence of Muppets has been around long enough now that they've rubbed off on us.
Yeah. Well, yeah. hey.
Yeah.
Get your hand out of the puppet. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
So, yeah, I don't know. I think we don't need to. That's not really the point.
Yeah, that's not the point.
Yeah, of how this has worked. This note is dedicated to documenting people who have Muppet in them and how much they have. So, let me explain
Muppet
a little
tendencies.
bit.
You're saying it's a spectrum?
Yeah, so Muppet people hybrids are often defined by an exaggerated or Muppet-like physique combined with mannerisms described in the same way. So, this all stemmed from a single camper that I had at Woodcrest one time who shall remain nameless. Some of you know. Some of you will know who I'm talking about because I've talked about this before with people. There are, on my list here, I have a bunch of friends and people that my friend group would know. But yeah, to explain a little further, it is pretty much on a spectrum. You kind of have like a 1 to 10. A normal looking person would be a 1. A Muppet would be a 10, or somebody who like is pretty much a Muppet would be a 10. So like so this also goes to like animals as well. Like Muppets have infiltrated animals. Pretty much any baby hippopotamus is like a 9.5 or like 10.
That's pretty Muppet, yeah.
Yeah. So if you look up a baby hippopotamus, see how they are. They are.
What
a great
age
example.
do they grow out of Muppeting?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of animals, some animals, even in adulthood, look Muppet-like. But, like, I wouldn't call a hippopotamus Muppet-like because, I don't know. It just doesn't give that vibe to me anymore at a certain point.
Yeah.
I don't know hippopotamuses well enough to be able to say a specific age.
Right.
But, like, a lot of toddlers, I would say like a lot of preteens are Muppet-like.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of old people are Muppet-like, to no fault of their own. And again, I also want to caveat and say, being Muppet-like is not a bad thing. I myself am a 3 about, and could even be a little higher than that.
That's true. Yeah.
There's nothing at all wrong with being Muppet-like. I love the Muppets, and this does not make you any less attractive as an individual. I wouldn't say I'm attracted to any Muppets, but
yeah, again.
Right.
Get your hand out of the puppet.
Right. But
the best thing I think is, I feel like the way we can describe it
yeah.
is, well, like in 2 ways. I think even the Muppets have agreed that humans and Muppets coincide.
Yeah, exactly.
You look at the Muppet movie, and the famous song, "Am I a man?
Exactly.
Or am I a Muppet?" And they're a little bit of
Perfect.
both. That's what they
Exactly.
decided.
Yep.
And you have the old men Muppets. Those are like two of my favorites.
Yeah.
Stalter
Stalter and Waldorf.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that's how it is.
I don't know. I agree.
Yeah.
But so yeah, there's definitely there's Muppets that are very human-like. So it only makes sense that there's humans and animals that are Muppet-like.
Exactly. So to list off a couple examples from the list here that are a bit more famous would be, first of all, Doc Rivers is a great example. I have him down here as a 7.75.
Yep. Basketball coach.
Yes, basketball coach.
The Milwaukee Bucks,
Right.
formerly the 76ers.
Yes, he's been around the league.
Mm-hmm.
There's a specific pose that he hits that is extremely Muppet-like. I will now demonstrate said pose.
Oh, yes.
So,
for our audio listeners, I'll describe.
He kind of, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this.
He's hunching.
He kind of goes like this.
Almost like a football player stance, but like, hands definitely on the knees, a little bit hunched.
He does he'll look up like this, which is very Muppet-like, and his eyes get really bulgy. And then there's also he'll be looking, his head will be kind of down, and his eyes are pointing up, looking at the thing from there.
Yeah, so hunched over, almost like an athletic ready stance, hands on the knees, back hunched.
That's just kind of how he watches the game from the sidelines.
Neck kind of sunken into his head a little bit, and just peering up, but while head looking down.
Yeah.
Muppet-esque.
Yeah, and that one was brought to my attention by a good friend, Asher. He also brought to our attention Kawhi Leonard. Is about a 5, I think.
Basketball player who
Yep.
plays for the LA Clippers now,
Mm-hmm.
most famous on the Toronto Raptors.
Yep, or the Spurs.
That's true.
Yeah, arguably.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like he's a Raptor because he won the chip there.
Right, yeah.
So
I mean, he won a chip at the Spurs as well.
did he? I don't
Yeah.
know. Dang.
He has one with the Spurs.
There
He
you
has
go.
2 chips.
Wow.
Anywho.
More than Westbrook.
Yeah. He spent a lot more time on the Spurs.
More than
so,
Chuck.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Hey, Charles Barkley could definitely be on this list.
That's true. We love Charles.
I'm a huge Charles
If
Barkley
I'm ever
fan.
in San Antonio, I'm always getting a churro.
Oh, yeah. And I'm looking at those big old women.
Whoa. Whoa. All right, look up the clip if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, if you know, you
haven't
know.
seen it.
Most presidents are at least a 6.
Yeah.
Old Trumper, Chomp,
Current? Yeah.
pretty high up there. He's probably an 8.
I mean, the hair itself looks like it was sewed on a Muppet.
Yeah. And again, this has nothing to do with our thoughts about his politics or whatever.
Yeah,
but
not to get political.
no,
But
purely looking at it objectively.
yeah.
Richard
Nixon had some Muppet in him.
yeah, that's for sure. So most presidents are at least a 6.
Do you think that's are you trying to make a bigger stand about American politics? About they're all just a Muppet in this call.
Right,
you know
right,
what I
right.
mean?
Yeah, maybe. Could be.
Oh, no.
Biden would be up there as
got
well.
very political.
We did get very political.
Yeah, wow.
Biden is way up there.
Yeah.
They would have to go at it for me.
Yeah,
I'd have to look a little closer.
Like you said, they're both old.
Yeah.
We haven't had a young president in
Right.
forever. Like Kennedy doesn't feel super Muppet.
Yeah.
A little bit, maybe.
Yeah. I think, yeah. And I mean, like I said, it's tough as an old person not to look Muppet-like.
Yeah.
So Biden being as, looking as old as he did at the end of things, he was very Muppet-like.
True.
He had a very exaggerated Muppet-like physique and mannerisms.
We need to get more definitions for what these physiques and mannerisms are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So any listeners want to send us some fan mail?
Because it's tough because you can't just
Define
say
this.
a super skinny arm, because while that is an indicator, that's not the only indicator when it comes to arms.
The Muppets are so diverse.
Right.
I mean, I'd love to look at their character cast.
Yeah,
but-
like Rolf is big. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's got big arms, and so he's got the real baggy arms.
Mhm.
So that makes him a little.
If
more
anybody
Muppet-like.
has a crazy head of hair on them, they could be looking like Animal. You know.
So hair actually doesn't do it for me that much.
Mm.
Hair is, I feel like, not one of the things that defines it all that often for me, because I think a regular human can have a pretty crazy head of hair on them, and they don't look Muppet-like to me.
Or act Muppet-like.
Right.
Doc Rivers don't got no hair.
Right. Which is also an indicator. Bald
people, yeah. And baby hippos, hairless.
Exactly.
I also just looked it up because I was so curious. Baby hippopotamus is called a calf.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. More you know.
Yeah. So some of the other ones I have on the list here: Matt Strahm, relief pitcher for the Phillies, who actually also looks a lot like Nicolas Cage in the face, but he has very like I don't want to say gangly, but like I'll say gangly arms and legs. I mean, he's a phenomenal pitcher, one of my favorite pitchers on the Phillies right now. He is a 7.5 on my list here. Bryan Cranston is a 9.
Wow.
There's a couple very specific clips that are very Muppet-like. That's a couple interviews, like red carpet interviews that I've seen that I'm like, that's just a Muppet.
Yeah. Do you think, like, to be on this Muppet scale, because it sounds like there's like individual times or certain poses that like people's Muppet breaks out of them.
Yep.
You feel like that's more the case? Like you can totally hide your Muppetism, but then like every once in a while it's like, well, saw him.
Yes.
His Muppet came out.
It sneaked out.
His her Muppet.
I think that's a what?
It's like his or her Muppet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think that is a great way of thinking about it. I've also noticed this more in men.
A Muppet moment.
Yeah, there you go.
Like my parents are getting older, and they, they say senior moment or whatever.
Sure.
They're like in part of this like club or whatever, for like people that are still trying to stay young.
Yeah.
And I totally am blanking on what it's called, so that's like totally ruins the joke.
Whoops.
But they're like, yeah, we're having a whatever moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
That's funny. And then 2 other ones that you can look up. Well, Larry David, 9.5. He's up there.
Yeah, that's true.
Wears a lot of baggy clothes.
I think probably
He's pretty spindly.
They were one of the Muppets was probably modeled after him.
Yes.
So.
This is a great example. This pose from Larry David.
Yeah.
He does that a lot.
Arms spread wide, like the squatting stance. I feel like the squatting stance is a very Muppet stance that I'm seeing from you.
I was mostly squatting to get in the camera.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. The arms
He squats a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
In that. Larry David, huge on the Muppet scale.
Yeah.
Adam Andra is a famous climber. He's like considered probably the best rock climber out there right now. If you look at him, super Muppet-like.
Was he the guy that made the movie El Capitan?
That is.
Isn't his Alex too?
Yes. No.
Honnold.
Yes. Alex Honnold.
Okay.
Adam Andra.
Okay.
Alex Honnold. I wouldn't say that he's
I don't think
very
he is
Muppet-like.
either. Yeah, I was just trying to.
I would put him at like a 4.
I don't think I know the other climber you're talking about.
I think everybody has some amount of Muppet in them.
Yeah.
So like Alex would be like a 3.
From time to time.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah.
Adam Andra I have on here is a 9. That might be a little high.
Dude,
but
yeah, Alex the climber guy.
Yeah.
That movie of him climbing El Capitan is crazy.
Yeah.
He's like also just like his relationships with people was wild. I think that's the biggest thing from that. And him just being like, yeah, like my girlfriend right now, she's great. Like she's kind of like compact, like, you know, kind of useful, like just kind of like my stove in my like camper van. Like that was the wildest part. I was watching that on a plane and I was like, hey yo.
Yeah. It's been a minute since I've seen that at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would agree that was insane to me.
Right. That's a Muppet comment there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the last one I'll say, I think Larry David is probably like the golden example and like one that everybody can look up and find. There's a well, I'll say 2 more. Jason Sudeikis is an 8 purely because of there's a singular SNL sketch called Maine Justice where he's acting like a courtroom judge from Louisiana in Maine. It's the one with Jamie Foxx. And there's this, like, when he's getting really into it, like, around minute, like, 5.5, 6, in the 7-minute long clip. I've watched this a bunch of times.
Yeah.
He like kind of leans forward and his feet kind of like dangle up in the air behind him.
Right.
And it's the most Muppet-like thing ever. And
Yoshi,
pull
up this clip. Pull up this clip, Yoshi.
Yes. Thank you, Yoshi. We'll put it right here.
Yeah, no.
No, we won't. And I might. And it's just like one of the gold standard. Like that is an iconic Muppet moment in a person in real life. And then him being in big baggy judge clothes on top of it is another icing on the cake.
Yeah.
And then the last person I'll say is Casey Fry. He's a comedian. That's Casey Frey.
Frey, if you will.
Frey, maybe. I honestly don't know how to say it.
I don't know any of these people you're mentioning.
Do you not know Larry David?
I know Larry David.
Okay,
I know Larry
okay.
David.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
But Casey Fry, I have him as an 8.5, which might be a little low, honestly. He's not very wholesome, so if you're below the age of, I'll say 16, maybe 13.
Yeah, you be the judge.
Yeah, you be the judge.
No, I'm saying you. You're the one giving the age.
That's true.
Yeah.
You at home be the judge.
Right. You just look
if you're
up
9 years old, go ahead and look it up.
Look up what his content is rated and then follow that.
Right. Yeah.
We're not going to make the ratings.
Yeah. He's mostly like Instagram guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're 9 years old, you can watch it and be like, was this too old for me?
Yeah.
It's a little late at that point.
Yeah.
No.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Right. He's a pretty funny comedian. Not very wholesome. I saw some of his stuff on Instagram. It's been a little bit since I've checked in with him. He might be canceled at this point. I don't know.
Oh.
But who knows? Who knows these days?
He might have became more Muppet, less Muppet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He might be back in the Muppet verse.
Yeah. From my experience with him, pretty Muppet-like. But yeah, I think we could talk about this forever. I could.
Right.
Yeah.
We got to move on eventually.
Yeah, we do. But yeah, I think it's funny. I just think it's like there's no point to this, you know? Like it's not like I'm going to publish anything on my findings or anything like that.
Right,
but,
right.
I think it's a interesting thing to talk about and fun to point out with your friends if you see a character like on a show and you're like, that's a Muppet.
Yeah.
I do that often. I often find myself thinking that was very Muppet-like.
Yeah. I think I've thought this before because you've brought this up to me, and I feel like a lot of like sports commentators, sportscasters feel very Muppet-like.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, like Nick Wright
from
First Things First, like, you know, Kansas City Glazer, that guy.
Yes.
Dude, he feels like a Muppet to me.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's just because he's a big nose, like, you know, comrade along with me.
Yeah.
Or if he's because of that long hair. I mean, I feel like hair does do it for me a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard that from other people.
But also just like his character, his facial expressions.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I'm like, yeah, but I feel like every little sportscaster, every sportscaster feels like they got a little Muppet in them.
Absolutely.
You know,
like
there's different professions that lend well to Muppets infiltrating.
Is it Kevin Harlan? What's his first name?
I don't know.
Harlan. He's a like a play-by-play guy for the NBA, and that's where he's famous for, I think. And I think his voice is pretty Muppet-like. It's almost like a Muppet voice.
Yeah. So getting political again, not actually.
Sure.
But you hear that they are going to be stopping the minting of the penny. So
really?
Yeah.
I had heard that, I think, before.
I mean, people have been talking about this like since I remember, like when I was in middle school. Like I remember people were like, they're like, write a persuasive essay, and like that's the time when you learn that like, oh, it costs 2 cents to make 1 penny, and like everyone's like, what? Are you kidding me? We're losing money. What do we do? This is why the country's in debt. What are we doing? This is why.
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson didn't risk his life. What are we talking about? This country. Sorry, Britain. Again, we're
Britain.
sorry. Your money is probably way better.
Yeah.
The pounds probably, like you probably are printing, 1 pence, and it's like you're printing it for 3.3 pence. You know?
I think Yeah. Right. Yeah. Who knows?
So
And I think the euro is worth more than the dollar right
it
now.
is. I think it's like 212 last I checked, which was like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
So
I remember when not that long ago that the dollar was better.
yeah, or maybe it's 120. I'm like
212 is crazy. I think.
that is crazy work.
Yeah.
But, I mean, hey, we're still the U.S. dollar is better than the Canadian dollar, so
Yeah.
eat it.
No problem.
Eat my shorts. That's probably copyrighted.
Canada.
Yeah.
Eat my shorts. Yeah, I don't know if we'd be able to say that.
Well, I mean,
Too late.
This is this is episode 1. What are
Right.
they gonna do?
Yeah.
But yeah, so
What are you gonna do, The Simpsons?
like this is a classic like persuasive essay that we were writing in like middle school.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's funny now that it's like really gaining some gumption.
Yeah.
And actually on the article that I was reading, again, shout out to NPR, they said it actually cost about 4 cents to make a penny.
Really?
And I'm like, I wonder if this is like paying like the artists and the minting and this
Right.
stuff. So like maybe not the raw materials, maybe like a more holistic of like what the cost is. But I'm like 4 cents is outrageous.
That is
really
outrageous.
makes me want to be like, we're losing money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, so they're removing the penny. I mean, and that makes sense. Like you go to a restaurant, you go to whatever. The penny jar is like people treat that as it's like a dirt jar.
Right.
Like, you know, you give somebody pennies and change, they're like, please take these away from me. It just weighs down your wallet,
Absolutely.
your pockets, your purse, whatever you're putting that in, your car, your couch.
Uh-huh.
Like pennies are kind of just menaces.
Yeah.
And
I mean-
like if you're one of those people that collects pennies and you
Yeah.
think it's like one's worth $1,000, you're crazy.
Yeah.
But
Hot take.
yeah,
Get rid of all change.
that's super hot. Yeah.
I don't know.
I was thinking about this too because in the article it's like, well, if we're removing the penny, it's going to increase the demand for the nickel
Absolutely.
because then everything's going to have to go in like 5-cent increments.
Things won't be worth $4.99 anymore.
Right. Can you even charge like things that are not in 5-cent increments? Like if you're not able to pay cash,
Right.
If you only have to pay card, like, are they going to like round down?
Yeah.
If you're paying cash?
Right.
Because then it's like we're no longer dealing with hundreds
Mhm.
and we've just cut it to 20s. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yep.
Like for every 20 of these is worth $1.
So that's why my hot take went straight to
Yeah.
just get rid of change.
So
I was thinking about that while you were talking because it's like at this point it's like, yeah, either go down to 95 or just go up to 5. Like either go down to $4.95 or go up to $5 flat. And it's like, I think, because I'm trying to think of the only thing that I would care about, like,
yeah.
would be like 25. Like I miss so much the 25-cent parking meters.
Yeah, yeah. Those
It's
are great.
so annoying to go on my phone.
Those are
and
great.
do that.
Yeah.
But so then at that point, just go to 25s. Just give me quarters.
Yeah.
I don't need dimes and nickels.
Yeah, but then it feels like we're just in increments of quarters.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Like four for $1, which is
Right.
crazy.
Right.
And then you're only minting quarters because it's like nobody's minting $50. Those
Yeah.
things are crazy.
Absolutely not.
And then even like the dollar coins, like those are just mostly like for to be memorable.
Yeah, and I'm literally the only thing I can think of that is like that I would even buy that isn't a multiple of 4 would be like there's a candy shop in Lidditz that still sells things for like 1 cent, 5 cents, whatnot. And
Yeah.
and like that's literally the only thing I can think of. I feel like everything
Right.
else would either be 150, 125,
yeah.
175. Like what am I
Yeah.
getting for 160?
Yeah.
And that I would also pay cash for. You know? I mean I barely pay cash now.
It's true. Yeah, like I hate paying for parking with my phone, but I love like Apple Pay just tapping like the screen and
Yeah.
paying because it's so simple.
Right.
And then it's like I forget my wallet, no big deal. I
Yeah.
have my phone on me.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think those pay for parking things are they're pretty annoying, I think. I get really annoyed when I have to create an account. Don't make me create an account. I don't want another account.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to remember another password.
They're gonna send you emails too, you know.
Stop sending me emails.
Yeah.
I would like to unsubscribe for pay for parking.
Yeah, we miss you. We want you to park here again. Like,
Come back to this place so you can park there
right.
again.
It's the holidays. Parking is great.
Yeah.
You know,
I could go on about that forever.
Wow. Yeah, subscriptions or something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
no, but may I just say something?
Yes,
Back to
obviously.
the coins thing before
Sure.
we get too
Yep.
heated.
Yep.
Guess how much? Because they were like, the increase in demand would be then for nickels. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? If we cut
Oh.
out the pennies,
Yeah.
creating nickels. Guess how much
See where you're
it
going with
creates to create a nickel?
7 cents.
It costs 14 cents to make a nickel. I know.
Oh my
so
goodness.
it's not as bad.
That's like 150%.
Yeah, I mean, but the penny costs 4, so
Right.
it's
That's
less.
200%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess percentage wise, yeah, that makes sense.
Right. No, wait.
Right, no.
Yeah, 14 cents is almost 300%. It
Yeah,
went
yeah,
from
yeah,
400% to like
yeah.
300% increase.
We did not go to college.
Yeah, I caught it. I
Yeah,
was
you
saying-
caught it.
We were like
Yeah.
both like,
Yeah.
Anyways, but that's wild. So then
Mhm.
I'm like, that also feels like, what in the world are we doing?
Yeah.
I do like dimes. I'm saying if I'm putting change in my wallet, my car, my whatever, I'm keeping dimes.
Okay.
I'm keeping nickels.
Yeah.
And like that's about it.
I'm keeping
Or not nickels, quarters.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm keeping quarters, dimes. I think I have some nickels in there just for the hang of it. Just could, keep it fun, keep it boisterous, keep it lively in there. Those guys don't, you can only talk to so many dimes as a quarter before you get bored. You got to talk to some nickels while you're jumping around in
Yeah.
there.
I mean, most people like talking to dimes. You know what I mean?
Hey.
Yeah. But even if you throw nickels in the mix,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I feel like that's
I'm never using it.
size. Yeah. But like in the mix, there's some size positivity there, but you're kind of neglecting the color. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a little bit racist. If I
That's
might be so
true.
bold, because you're only keeping the white coins. You know what I mean?
Silver,
What's
yeah.
happened to the brown coins?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, I might be corn racist.
Wow. Well, so is the U.S. right
yeah,
now,
literally, we're getting
because
rid
we're
of the
getting
brown
rid
ones.
of the
Yeah.
So maybe we make the dime brown,
Yeah.
and then we keep dimes. We keep
And you
quarters.
know what? We just make. Oh,
Yeah.
this might be crazy. Hot take. We just replace the penny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, literally just keep making pennies, but
Yeah.
instead of it saying 1 cent on there, it says 5 cents. Because
Right.
then, you know what I mean?
So get rid of the nickel. You're saying what? I don't know.
So, hey, we're
yeah,
making
because
pennies.
the nickel costs us 14 cents.
Exactly.
and
And
the
the
penny
penny
only
only
costs
costs 4
4.
cents.
So then if we're making it for 5, we're printing money. Suddenly we're out of debt.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Sorry, China.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, the universe. We're not in
Wow.
debt to you anymore.
Dang, tariffs are hitting.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's another thing that I think is funny.
Yeah.
The world debt crisis.
Yeah.
What's the world in debt to?
You know,
The aliens?
yeah. I think people are in debt to each other.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it's like, yeah, I'm in debt right now
Yeah.
with like my home loans.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean that like
You have
I'm-
zero money.
I'm bankrupt.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I can't do anything. I mean, the world runs on debt.
Yeah.
Sorry to Dave Ramsey, but sometimes you need to use loans and different things like that. I mean, shout out to the graduates out there, our future doctors, lawyers, teachers. Come on, man.
Shout out, y'all.
We know you took out some serious loans,
Yeah.
and we're praying for you.
Yep.
So
Computer programmers
yeah.
that are going to get replaced by AI.
Well, I
joking.
mean, you
I'm
talk to
joking.
anybody. I've
Sure,
talked to
sure.
some computer programmers,
Yes,
and they're
yes.
like, I mean, have you used the AI? I mean, it can barely program for
Right,
poop.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But anyways,
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows what AI will be doing in 10 years?
I know. Well, yeah, it'll probably replace a lot of things, but
Yep.
we'll adapt.
We'll see. You
Yeah.
have to. It's here now. Can't put the genie back in the bottle.
Yeah. Dude, funny story. One of our friends we were talking to recently, and she was like, they were looking up something, and she was talking to her husband. She was like, well, I mean, according to Al, it says this. You know what I mean? Whatever. And he's like, who's
Who?
Al? Like, who are you talking to about this? And she's like, no, like Al, like online, whatever. And he's
Yeah.
like, is it like a website? And he's like, also, are you saying Al, like AL, or like OWL? And
Yeah.
she's like, AL. And then he's like, okay. She's like, yeah, whenever I Google something, it's at the top. And he's like, the AI overview? She's like, oh my goodness, that was the OWL overview. And we were talking to and we're like,
this is what Al says.
yeah. And we're like, to be fair, there's a lot of like, there's Siri and Alexa and like, whatever. So like, there's a lot of naming of like these processing systems.
Yes.
So I'm like, I do think somebody should name one OWL.
That's
funny.
funny.
Awesome. Like an AI that's named OWL.
Absolutely.
That would be very good.
Yeah. That's like they're well, I don't know if this is really similar, but yeah, it's like before we had the internet, you just had to go ask a dude like and you had a question about something. Oh, I'll just go ask this guy, and then he could just tell you the wrong answer, and then you just walk around thinking that's the correct answer for 10 years or whatever. Yeah. But, yeah,
I mean,
it's funny.
That's what we're doing. We're just throwing out these
Sure.
statistics and different things.
Yeah.
But no, the coin crisis is real. My other thoughts that I had on this was I don't care as much about we keep the penny, we don't keep the penny, whatever. I
Sure.
mean, it looks like it's probably going to be on its way out.
Yeah.
And some people were like, "Oh, like, but like, it's Abraham Lincoln. How can we do that to him?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like he's already on the 5.
He's on the 5.
You know what I mean?
No big deal.
That's big time.
He's
You
on
know
the
what I mean?
5.
Like, should these presidents even get double? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like George Washington on the quarter and the dollar.
Come
Those
on.
are both the most used,
Yeah.
currencies.
Yeah.
So that's huge. But yeah, so I was like, okay, I don't really get that point. But the other thing was like, I'm most frustrated by how many designs they're putting on coins these days.
Yeah.
The amount of quarters, because I'm like, it's got to cost so much money to like pay an artist, pay this and that, and like create all new plates and make sure they run smoothly and all this to mint new coins.
Yep.
And like, I was looking it up because it's like, we know there's 50, right, for each of the 50 states.
Yep. And then
Like-
each state has a bunch.
Right. Each state has probably a couple different types.
Mhm.
And then they have they made one for for national parks.
Yeah.
And so there's like 56 of those.
Right.
And then there's like one for like like I forget what it is, like the Delaware, whatever. There's like all these different quarters that they minted.
Uh-huh.
I mean, now they're doing a bunch of like women's rights quarters, which is great. I think
Love
that
women.
needs to be represented. I'm married to one.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think we need to be minting this many quarters. I don't think people even care.
Sure.
And like when the state quarters came out, all the old people were excited. They're
Yep.
like, I'm going with my grandson.
Yep.
We're collecting every state, and it
I
was
have
hype,
every state but New Mexico, I think.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty hype.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's
It's
like
cool.
what, $12 right there?
Yeah.
What, $12.50?
Sure. If I ever
Hey,
need, if I
yo.
really am like in need,
Yeah, if you're
I
ever
can
strapped.
dig into that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm like, at some point, it's gone too far.
Sure.
And I think we've gone too far. I'm now at the point where it's like, I know you don't even care what's on the quarter anymore. And like, I'm so desensitized to it. I think we just need to maximize one design
Mm-hmm.
and choose that and just print that for the entire year.
Yep.
What's with making 20 designs? That's too much. And I think that's really where we're losing money.
Interesting.
Yeah. Forget
Yeah.
about the penny itself. I'm like, why is there 20 designs? Why is there 180 designs for the quarter?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think that is also pretty interesting. Along that same concept, license plates. So, well, before I get into that, I think it does provide jobs, like designing it, and then like,
Are those jobs we need?
well, like people. I mostly mean like at the manufacturing plants and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess. But like, we're gonna still need the same number of quarters.
Right.
We just don't need
Sure.
80 designs for it.
Makes sense.
I don't know.
So I'm thinking about this more in PA recently got a new license plate. So the new standard issue license plate are going to be like rolling out this year, and they're also replacing all the old ones. So if you have a current like older license plate, you're going to be getting a new one. Oh, thank you. And so
And might
now,
I say,
hold
if
on.
you live
Before you say anything,
Go ahead, sure.
I am slightly biased towards this because my uncle is the guy who's heading up that whole operation, because he works at the Department of Transportation.
Wow.
So I am biased to
You got
like.
You got an in.
Yeah, I do. I am biased to be like, these are awesome, and I think it's a great idea. But
The plates?
now, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was gonna say, if you live in Pennsylvania,
Yes, right.
these you
This
gotta
is
know.
purely Pennsylvania stuff.
Well, yeah, but like if you live in Pennsylvania, you know we have the worst license plates
Absolutely.
in the entire country.
I will
They
say,
are trash.
so we have some experience on this because on our trip out west, we saw all 50 states and some provinces.
Yeah.
We were in, was it Yellowstone or was it Zion that we saw the Hawaii?
Hawaii.
thing?
I think that was in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was Josh there?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yellowstone it was. And we saw a Hawaii plate.
Rainbow, beautiful.
Beautiful.
Moved me
Yes.
to tears.
Now-
Almost.
Well, I will say, as much as PAs is the most boring,
Yeah.
it is so recognizable. From 2 miles away, you see the 3 bars, those colors, Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
which
but
is
like,
kind of cool.
where did we get those colors from? They're trash. So
Exactly.
let's paint it out for you if you're not from PA.
Yeah.
It's this blue bar at the top.
Yep.
That says www.visitpa.com.
Yeah. Or just
Like-
Pennsylvania.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I think maybe the bottom says the
Right.
URL.
So
So-
whatever.
Blue banner up top says
Uh-huh.
Pennsylvania. Then like blue letters, right?
Yeah.
Letters and numbers. And
Well-
it's like white background.
Oh yes.
And then like a yellow bar at the bottom, kind of
Yes.
a little bit faded maybe. And
Mhm.
then www.visitpa.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? So one, they threw a
Boring.
shameless plug in there for
Yeah.
like people to visit.
Yeah.
And like two, the colors are like nasty. You know what I mean? Like the Rams got some of like the most like shocking, bright, unappealing jerseys, and that's our license plate.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true. That's
yeah.
funny.
And like we don't have a slogan or anything.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're up in like Massachusetts. I think it's Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Or no, New Hampshire. And
Where we were.
no, I was saying we took a trip recently.
Oh, okay.
My wife
okay.
and I.
Yeah.
It's like their license plates say "Live free or die."
I
You know what I
love that
mean?
one.
That
I was
one's
visiting
awesome.
New York a lot in the past year
Yeah.
or last year, and saw New Hampshire a fair amount. And Live Free or Die,
Yeah.
absolute bar to just
Yeah,
have on
yeah,
every
yeah, yeah.
single person who lives in New Hampshire's plate.
I know.
Come on,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
So now the new PA one says "Let freedom ring,"
boom,
and it's got the Liberty Bell.
Uh-huh.
It's got like kind of a nice like
It's
gray
classy.
and like light gray, and then
So
like
classy.
red, white, and blue.
uh-huh.
It's fire. Yeah, I'm digging it.
Yeah.
They replaced our state sign or like our welcome to PA sign too.
Yes.
Very similar.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I saw it on the way back recently.
Oh, cool.
It's awesome.
Coming down from New York, or
Yeah, from like New York, New Jersey.
gotcha.
Yeah, we're coming
Okay.
from north to into PA.
Got it. So, yeah. Now, so the arguments for against getting a new license plate. One of them, waste of money.
Well, do you have to change it right away?
They're just issuing new ones.
They're just gonna send them out.
Mhm.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like if you do a title transfer or something, then you should have to
Yeah.
get it changed or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it should be a slow rollout.
Right. And it's gonna be over the entire year.
Right.
So they're like starting with M's or whatever and just going down.
Starting with M's.
I don't know.
In the middle of the alphabet.
I forget.
That's funny.
But it will be, that's kind of like what it will be. Like any new license plates will just be will be the new one, or any
When do cars get new license plates? Like when they're built?
yeah.
I've
well,
only bought used cars, so
pretty much anytime they're registered, or like if you're transferring a title, you would get a new tag,
yeah.
or you're buying tags. So anytime somebody like
yeah, but you usually
gets a new
keep
one,
the
or-
same license plate. You
Do
just,
you?
I don't know. Do you?
I
don't
think you
know.
get a new one every time.
Oh, maybe.
Every time I've gotten a used car, I've gotten a new one, which is pretty often.
I can't remember. I haven't bought a car in a long time.
I've bought 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow.
Well, yeah. I've had a Prius for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
A van that we took out west, which was awesome. That
was
I
fun.
actually showed to somebody today.
To Dell. Nice.
Today to sell.
Yay.
So hopefully that works out.
That would be good. Yeah.
Because I'm tired of paying insurance on that.
Yeah. No, that thing was a blast, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it
Not
sucks
very
for the
practical.
insurance, the gas, everything. Yeah.
And then I bought a Sequoia last June.
Mhm.
And so, yes, each time I got a new tag.
All right.
Oh,
There you go.
and my Jeep. I had a Jeep out
Yeah.
of high school, which was my dream car. I owned it for 50 days and then crashed it, which we can talk about another time,
Ooh,
which was
yeah.
so sad.
I've just had since high school my Silver Steed,
Yeah.
the Ford Focus.
Yep.
She's a beaut.
Fire.
Little dent in the front.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about that sometime.
Yeah.
Slipped on some snow,
Uh-oh.
freshly like 16, 17, whatever it was. And
Yep.
yeah, it's very sad.
So
So-
I'm pretty sure you get a new tag every time. I don't
Yeah.
know if you have to or if that's just the way that I've done it every time,
Right.
but I'm pretty sure you do. So any of those new ones will be in the new style.
Very cool.
But then also, so like I was saying, the point I was going to bring up is that definitely provides a lot of jobs, like people
Yeah.
making those. I mean, like I think prisons do that, and like manufacturing plants and whatnot.
Right.
So, and then a point that a friend of mine, close friend of mine, brought up, who grew up in North Carolina. The North Carolina license plate is very similar colors to the Pennsylvania license plate. So his point was that anytime he sees that license plate from any sort of distance, he's immediately going to think North Carolina, and then he's going to have to get close to it to be like, oh, it's PA. Which is like, I get that, but I'm from PA.
Yeah.
And I'm going to think of it as PA. And he's like, anybody from North Carolina is going to think it's North Carolina license plate. I was like, I don't care about people from North Carolina.
I don't know. I don't know why that matters.
Yeah.
If I'm driving in North Carolina, like I hope my, because I ain't got the Easy Pass. I should probably get one.
Right.
It's like a little bit cheaper, but it's like I hope I drive through it, like scans my plate. Yeah, I hope it thinks it's North Carolina.
Right.
I hope it sends the bill to him.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I see all those people that like put like those like protectors and like the
yeah.
things that glare when it's like a picture's taken of it, like on their like plates. That
Yeah.
just seems like that's like
Just asking for trouble.
it really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the people that are always driving crazy on the highway too.
Right.
But
Right.
anyways.
Yeah. So, should we get into we talking about the sword or we're talking about basketball? Well, we could
I'm fine
also
with
save
whatever.
we could save some of those topics
Yeah, that's fair.
for next time.
Yeah, we're holding out on
are-
you guys.
I think we probably have an hour 20 right now.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I'm saying, I don't know how often we're gonna get to record,
Right.
so we might as well just go ham, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm thinking too, like, I don't know. I feel like we could get once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
They say consistency is a big thing.
Right.
Like people, it's not necessarily like the content,
Right.
but like the consistency is huge
Absolutely,
for
yeah.
listeners.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you think we could get once a week?
Oof. I think we could film 2 episodes
That's true.
every other week.
So maybe we do 2 right now.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
They don't have to be an hour long, but
True.
they could be.
Okay. Well, do we want to like
I say we just go till the wheels fall off.
Okay.
It's a good experiment.
Sounds good. Well, then we might as well
Stop it. And
stop again, yeah.
Yeah. Take a little tinkle. Yeah.